For section 6.3, we are going to be putting together all of the different transformations we have done in the last two sections. So we're going to do composition of transformations, and we already did an example of this in our 6.2 notes. This is when we're going to do two or more transformations with the same shape. All right. So this is when we're going to be adding prime and then double prime with our labels for our points. So for example 1, they're giving us the vertices of triangle ABC with A is at 2, 1, B is at 5, 3, and then C is at 6, 2. When you put your points on the grid, make sure you are labeling them. Part of the points that you'll receive on the test or the quiz is for your labels. When you're given more than one transformation, you are going to go in order. So first we're going to do the translation, and then with our new image, the A, B, C prime, we are then going to do the reflection next. So with the translation, if it is an X plus a number, we would go to the right. If it's a minus, we would go to the left. So this one is minus 8, we're going left 8. For the Y, if it's plus, we're going up. If it's minus, we're going down. This one, we're not adding anything, so we're going to go up 0. So we're going to move all three of our points, A, B, and C, left 8, and then up 0. Okay. So we can just count 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is where A prime would go. And then we do the same thing for the other ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. B prime. And then we'll move C over 8 to get C prime. Now for our second transformation, the reflection, we are going to be reflecting A, B, C prime. So we're not going back to the first shape, we're going to our image that we just drew. This one we're reflecting over the x-axis, which is the horizontal one here. Because that is a horizontal line, we're just going to count how many spaces away each point is, and then go that same number of spaces on the opposite side. So A is 1 space away, we'll go 1 in the other direction, and label that one A double prime. Then B is 1, 2, 3 away from the x-axis, so we go 1, 2, 3 below it, and we would label it B double prime. C is 2 spaces away, so we'll go 2 spaces down for C double prime. And that is an example of what a composition of transformations would look like. All right. Our next one, if you want to pause it and then try this one on your own, you can, or you can just follow along. This one we have our segment CD. C is at -2, 6. Oops, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then D is at -1, 3. All right. So we graph the image, and then we're going to do the following transformation. So first, we are going to reflect over the y-axis this time. And remember, the y-axis is the vertical one, or the one going up and down. So we're going to reflect over that one. Then we're going to do a rotation of 90 degrees. And if you don't have patty paper, and you would like to use the patty paper method, you can grab that from the front table. Or if you just want to turn your physical paper and then figure out what the new coordinates would be, you can do that as well. So we'll start with the reflection over the y-axis. So C is 2 spaces away. We'll go 2 in the other direction to get C prime. And D is 1 space away, so we'll go 1 space in the other direction to get D prime. Now we're going to reflect this image, or sorry, not reflect, we're going to rotate this 90 degrees about the origin. Because it's a positive 90, we are going to go counterclockwise 90 degrees. So you can put your patty paper on there trace it and then turn, or you can turn your paper 90 degrees to the left or counterclockwise, and when you do that, you would see that your new coordinate points for D double prime would be -3, 1, and then for C double prime, we would be at -6, 2. Oops, wrote that backwards. So then we can go ahead and plot those points and label them. And remember, the size of our shape should never change unless we're doing a dilation. And we didn't do any dilations here. So all of these should be the same length, which they are. Oops, sorry, I labeled this one wrong. That's supposed to be AC. Okay, if you're still struggling with reflections, rotations, translations, make sure you do sign up for a WIN session so you can get help there. Okay, so those are compositions. These next ones, we are going to be applying some critical thinking to our problems. So for example 3, the distance from point C to line R is 1. So we can go ahead and label that in our picture. From C to R, that space is 1. Point D to line R is 3. Point D double prime to line S is 2. And then point C double prime to line S is 4. So this one here is 4. Find the distance between the parallel lines. So for this one, between the parallel lines is going to be this space. And with these problems, you want to make sure you are reading them carefully, because sometimes they'll ask between the parallel lines or between specific points. So in the diagram, they told us that CD is first reflected over line R. So this point C was reflected to get C prime. So we know between C prime and line R, that space is going to be 1. And then C prime was reflected to get C double prime. And because C double prime is 4 away from the line S, that means C prime would be 4 away as well. So to get the distance between the parallel lines, we just need to take 1 plus 4 to get the distance of 5 units. We could double check that with point D. When that was reflected, it was 3 away, so D prime would be 3 away. And then when that reflected, it was 2 away on the opposite side, making this part 2. And we could check 3 plus 2, that is still going to be 5 units. So we could get our answer by looking at either of the points to get 5 for the distance between the lines. Okay, then the next part, we have double reflections. And when we have a double reflection, what we're really doing is the shape ends up being rotated to get to the double prime after you reflect it twice. And what they're going to be asking you for is the angle of rotation. So how far are we rotating it to get from our pre-image to our double prime image? What you are going to do is you are going to take the angle between the two lines it was reflected over, and you are simply going to multiply it by 2. And that will give us the degree measurement that it had to rotate to get to our double prime image. All right, same thing for the next one. After the double reflection, the result is going to be a rotation, and we are looking for the angle of rotation. So we're going to take the angle between the two lines, and we're going to multiply by 2. And that's going to give us 120 plus 16, 136 degrees. Okay, so these last types of problems, they're usually pretty simple, but you want to make sure you are reviewing them in case they show up on a quiz or a test, so you don't forget how to do those problems. The last thing that we are going to need to know how to do for this chapter is writing or describing transformations. So if we look at A, we started at this triangle in the bottom left corner, and we ended up first with this image ABC prime. So this one, when your shape is flipped over, that is a reflection. So anytime you see your shape is flipped, it's going to be a reflection. So the way that you would describe it is reflection. And then you have to say what line it was reflected over. So for this one, it was reflected over the x-axis. Now we are going from ABC prime to ABC double prime. For this one, we just moved our shape over and then up. So anytime you just move it over and up, that is a transformation, or sorry, a translation. And when you are given a translation, you have to write the rule. And we went over how to write translation rules in 6.1. So you start with the x comma y, and then you do an arrow. And then we say what we're doing to our x value, and then what we're doing to our y values. So this one, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right. And when we're going to the right, that is a positive. So we would have x plus 6. And then we moved 2 units up. And whenever we go up on the y-axis, it is positive as well. So the description for the transformation for part A is a reflection over the x-axis and then a translation using this rule. Okay. So then our next one, B, we started in the top right and we went to the left, but our shape turned. So anytime our shape turns, that is going to be a rotation. So this one, we have a rotation. And for rotations, there are 2 pieces. You need the angle of rotation. So this one went 90 degrees. And because it's counterclockwise, you could put counterclockwise 90 degrees or positive 90. So then the last thing you need is the point of rotation. And this one rotated about the origin. Then we went from ABC prime to ABC double prime below it. This one, you have to be careful. Because it's a triangle, it's a little bit tricky. It looks like we just moved the triangle down. But if you look, A and C are in different spots. So this one is actually a reflection and not a translation. So this one reflected over. And to get the line it reflects over, you want to find what is in the middle of each of the points. So between A prime and A double prime, the middle is the x-axis. All right, so then if we go to C, for this one, we moved quite a bit. This one we start on the left, and then we go down to the right. So this one, the shape is not turning, but if we look at each of the points, A, C, and B, they're in the same order between these 2 shapes, where A is on the bottom left, C is on the bottom right, and then B is on top. So for this one, what we did is we took the shape and we moved it. So whenever you just take the shape and you move it up, down, left, or right, that is going to be a translation. X comma Y. and then we write our rule. So for our y's, this one went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right. And whenever we're going to the right, it is a positive, so plus 5. And then we went 1, 2, 3, 4 down. And when we're going down, it's a negative number, so minus 4. Okay. And then we took this shape and it got flipped over because if you look, C is now on top instead of B. And to figure out that when it is flipped over, it is a reflection. And when you are reflecting, you need a point of or a line of reflection. So it's going to be the line that's in the middle. So in the middle here, it is the x-axis. So a reflection, and then we use the x-axis. Okay. Our last one, and then you will have time to work. This one we started with A, B, C, D. And then it went to ABC prime down here. And this one is kind of a challenge because it is rotated, but it's rotated in kind of a weird spot. And typically that's not going to happen. So if we have a rotation, say on a quiz or a test, the point of rotation is going to be really obvious. It's either going to be one of the points of the shape or it's going to be the origin. So for this one, really what I want you to focus on is if the point of rotation is not at the origin, I just want you to focus on identifying that it's a rotation. And then how many degrees. So this one was rotated negative 90 degrees. Because this one went from here down there. So whenever it's not the origin or one of the points on the shape, don't worry about the point of rotation. Okay, then we're going to our last shape, which is A, B, C double prime. This one, all of the points, A is still on top, D is on top, C is on the bottom, and B is on the bottom. So we just took our shape and we moved it up. And that is a translation. And then we have to write our translation rule. This one, we did not move left or right any. So X, we could put plus 0, but you don't have to. But we moved up 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means we would have Y plus 4. And that's our final answer. So try your best on the homework. We'll go over any questions from 6.2 and 6.3 in class next time. And then the quiz will be a partner quiz. So make sure you are practicing, you're studying, and you're asking questions. And Wednesday, there will be a WIN session where you can come in and ask for help if you need it.